Hello, folks. Today is July 22nd, 2025. So 30 years ago, the body of a 4-year-old whose name was Samantha Raylynn Richie was found. And then the trial for her mother was charged, and another person was charged in this case. And I was looking up something related to a trip, going to a trip up in Dayton, which I went up to on Saturday, and was reminded of this case. I remember watching the trial 30 years ago. And basically, I was wondering about this gentleman who was also charged and was the key witness against the mother. And if you watched the trial, and you watched it with an open mind like you're supposed to, as if you're on a jury, which a lot of people don't. I remember watching it, and this gentleman, Ernest Vern Brooks, testified against the mother. And the mother's defense was and said that this Brooks gentleman molested and killed her daughter. And they brought in, and I'm going to look it up because basically I had to post it in what is a notepad on my computer, because basically the Dayton Daily News, you have to pay to basically access their article on this from 2010. Well, I basically cut and paste as much as I could. Now, this is from June 5th, 2010. Now, this is about Brooks, the man who testified against, I'll say her name, it's Teresa Jolene Richie, I believe is how you pronounce it. And this is an article about Brooks after the fact, which fits precisely with the mother's defense. Convictions for sex charges involving children put murderer's accuser in prison. And this is from Crime and Law by Lou Greco, June 5th, 2010, Dayton. Montgomery County prosecutors lead witness against Teresa Jolene Richie, the Dayton woman convicted of killing her daughter, has twice been convicted of sex crimes against young girls since Richie's 1996 trial. Ernest Vernell, also known as Vern Brooks, 58, is serving a 20-year prison term. His expected release date is 2025. This year. He died in prison, as I found out, because some people mentioned that he died, but nobody could figure it out. Nobody does any research. I do research. According to the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections, last week, the parole board continued Richie's parole for another 10 years. That's the mother. Brooks testified that he saw Richie beat her daughter Samantha to death, but defense attorneys, and this is key, argued that Brooks had molested and killed the girl. My mind is kind of racing, said the attorney, this is for the mother, Michael Krumholtz, who represented Richie at trial. Krumholtz said that he had not known about Brooks's subsequent convictions and would talk to his co-counsel, David Williamson, before commenting further. That certainly comes as no, now I have to go back to the other side, no surprise, I believe. No surprise, unfortunately, Williams said after learning about Brooks's convictions. He declined to comment further through a now this is an important thing, through a spokesman, Montgomery County prosecutor, Manthus H. Heck Jr. declined to comment, stating he did not discuss defendants from other counties. Brooks, who was convicted of low-level felonies in connection with the hiding of Samantha's body, was released from prison on December 29th, 1995. Now, you watch this info. At the time, his attorney told the Dayton Daily News that he did not know where Brooks was, but that he probably moved away from the Dayton area because he was fearful for his own safety. Brooks moved to Fairfield County, which is very close to Dayton, where he was indicted. This is it. Was indicted on attempted rape charges in August 1998. The incident involving an 11-year-old girl occurred on June 26, 1998, according to court records. Convicted of the charge, he re-entered prison on April 1st, 1999, and remained there until August 3rd, 2003, when he was released on supervision. Brooks' parole was revoked after he was accused of attacking a 9-year-old girl in August 2005. Brooks, then living in Lancaster, was accused of fondling the girl in a car. Brooks knew the girl's family, the Lancaster Eagle-Gazette reported. Brooks pleaded guilty to 1 count of rape and 2 counts of gross sexual imposition in October 2005. At Brooks's sentencing, the mother told the judge, and then I basically couldn't keep copying and pasting, but basically said that she didn't know about the charges of the past of Brooks. So basically, that's my whole thing, is if you watch the trial, basically, the mother had somebody from, it was believed Indiana, had testified that the girl, it was some pathologist from Indiana, testified that Samantha had been molested before being murdered. Then one of the Ohio coroners said, oh, she wasn't molested. And I remember arguing back then that molestation does not necessarily mean penetration. Back then, that's what I argued, because I watched the trial, and I said right there, that's where it hinges. So you have one person for the defense saying that this little girl was molested, then murdered. And then you have the state, they stick together, said, oh no, she wasn't. Huh? How can you necessarily prove unless there was an actual rape occurred? So that's always been my big stickler about this case. So I believe Brooks molested and murdered Samantha, like the mother said, and then as soon as he gets out, he basically attacks 2 young girls and rapes them. Why is nobody else talking about this? I see the podcasts, or I see the YouTube videos showing, the scene where it happened, the murder, and where her body was found, and her gravesite, which I was there at the gravesite on Sunday. It's I can't even show you a video because I'm losing it. But then I just came home and started doing more research and jogged my memory. And I'm like, oh yeah. If you watch the trial with an open mind like you're supposed to as if you're on a jury, I remember back then thinking, the mother didn't do this. This guy, this devil that the state made a deal with, did it. And it was only just now when I researched, yesterday, the day before, researching this, let me go to his name here. Let me see if it's up. Okay, we got this. When we go to Vern, that's him. And this will basically show you. And he was basically 40-something years old when this all happened with Samantha, the murder. And the mother was only 20, like 3 or 4. She was born a year before I was. So I was basically 23, so she would have been 24 when this all happened. Then he was like 43 or older. So he was, and this shows you, he died in prison. And as you can see, what it was he charged with. And what was he in prison for? Rape. Right there. Rape. And I'm not sure what GSI is, and they only give him 5 years for that. But he basically died in prison for this rape. So the net sentence was a 20-year term. And this was when he was expected to be released, September 2nd, 2025. So he died in prison. Thank God. So he couldn't prey on another little girl. So I honestly think the mother should have a new trial. I'm sorry. They made a deal with the devil, and the guy revealed himself to be the damn devil. So there you go. 30 years ago. Fucked up.